I have a story for you today, a bit long, but be careful. It might affect you deeply. With your permission, let's begin. Once upon a time, there was a happy child named Jack. Jack and his family lived in New York and were quite wealthy. His father was a stockbroker and his mother was a doctor. Life was going wonderfully for him. He loved his family, got along well with his friends, and even had a girl he liked, though he didn't fully understand what that meant yet. But one morning, he woke up to the sound of his parents arguing. When he went downstairs, they saw him and stopped fighting, only telling Jack they were moving. Before he knew it, they were moving that very evening. Jack and his family moved into an old, creepy house. He immediately noticed how different everything was. Their new home was big, old, and a bit frightening. That evening, as Jack lay in bed, he heard an owl outside his window. It was the first time he had ever heard an owl. He looked out the window and saw the owl staring at him. Its gaze seemed to pierce into his soul. Without dwelling on it too much, he returned to his bed and tried to fall asleep. Just as he was about to drift off, he heard a strange creaking noise from downstairs. At first, he thought it was the wind, but the noise repeated. He slowly got out of bed and opened his door slightly. The corridor was empty. He went downstairs and opened the living room door. The room was dark, lit only by the moonlight filtering through the window. Just as he was about to head back to bed, he heard a rustling sound behind a big couch. His heart began to race. Jack thought, "I need to find out what this is." He took slow, silent steps toward the couch. When he looked behind it, he saw only an old newspaper sliding across the floor. He felt a wave of relief and decided to return to bed. But just then, he heard another noise. This time, it came from the basement. Jack's curiosity got the better of him again. He descended the stairs to the basement door, which was slightly ajar, revealing the dark depths below. Jack gathered his courage and turned on the basement light. As he slowly descended the stairs, his heart pounded in his chest. The basement was filled with old furniture, boxes, and dusty shelves. But what caught Jack's attention was a large, old painting on the wall. The painting depicted a creepy forest with a lone child standing in the middle. As Jack approached, he realized the child's face looked very familiar. Is that me?" he thought. At that moment, a small hatch next to the painting creaked open. Jack felt a cold draft from the hatch and peered inside. It was dark, but something caught his eye. A small notebook. He took the notebook and began flipping through its pages. On the first page, it read, "To uncover the secret of this house, read until the end." Jack continued reading. As he turned the pages, he found stories about the strange events experienced by the house's previous owners and the children who had disappeared. One page read, "Before leaving this house, you must free the child in the basement painting." Jack looked back at the child in the painting. The child's eyes suddenly moved and locked onto Jack. He closed the notebook and approached the painting. Jack was so scared that his whole body froze, and he couldn't move. His body started moving on its own. Jack felt like he was on the verge of going mad. Just then, a strange light shone from behind the painting. When Jack looked behind it, he found a small key. He took the key and returned to the painting. Discovering a hidden lock, he inserted the key and turned it. Suddenly, the painting began to glow. and a beam of light shot out. Jack stepped back and watched. As the light faded, the painting returned to its old, faded state. But this time the child in the painting was gone. Jack reopened the notebook to find the last page now read, "Thank you. I am free now." He began to run, but as he reached the stairs, something grabbed his foot, and he fell. Just as he hit the ground, he woke up from his nightmare, screaming, with his family rushing to his side. Jack told his family about the dream, but they assured him it was just the stress of moving. Despite his insistence, they went to the basement to check the painting together. It only depicted the forest. From that day on, Jack never heard any strange noises in the house and realized it wasn't that creepy anymore. But deep down, he knew it was a lie because he couldn't forget his nightmare. One night, Jack was woken up by a tapping sound again. This time, the noise came from the attic. Jack decided to gather his courage and go up to the attic. He climbed the stairs quietly and opened the attic door. It was dark, but Jack shone his flashlight around. The attic was filled with old items, dusty boxes, and a trunk. The trunk caught his attention. Jack approached the trunk and opened the lid. Inside, he found old letters, photographs, and a diary. He picked up the diary and began to read. It was written by the house's first owner, Mr. Thompson. As he turned the pages, he read about the strange events in the house and the stories of missing children. But the most interesting part was on the last page of the diary. Under this house lies a great secret. Unless someone uncovers this secret, the spirits will never be at peace. Whoever reads this must find the true key of the house and reveal the secrets. After reading the diary, Jack searched for more clues in the attic. In one corner, he found an old, dusty box with an ancient-looking key inside. The key was quite large and heavy. Jack took the key and went downstairs. He thought the tunnel they had found earlier might have another entrance. Jack took the key and went to the backyard. He called for Daniel again. Daniel appeared suddenly. "This key will open the big door," he said. Jack asked who he was, but the only answer he got was, "Follow me." For some reason, Jack trusted him. Daniel led Jack to the backyard and into the bushes. There, hidden under the bushes, was a large stone door. They placed the key in the lock and turned it together. The door slowly opened, revealing a dark passageway. The passageway led deeper into the house. Jack and Daniel entered. This passage was darker and creepier than the previous tunnel. The walls had older and more mysterious symbols. At the end of the passage, they found another large room. In this room, there was a large chest adorned with gold. On the chest, it read, "The secret of the house." Jack used the key again to open the chest. Inside, they found a glowing stone. The stone glowed like a crystal orb. Daniel said, "This stone will bring complete peace to the spirits of the house. We must place it in the painting in the basement." Jack and Daniel took the stone back to the basement. When they stood in front of the painting, the stone began to glow. They placed the stone where the child in the painting stood. The stone shone brightly, illuminating the entire room. Suddenly, the light went out, and they began to hear screams. The screams grew so loud that Jack felt he was about to faint. He tried to call out to Daniel, but he could no longer hear or see him. He had to slowly surrender to the situation as he couldn't take it anymore. His eyes slowly darkened, And the last thing he remembered was the nausea in his stomach. When he woke up, he found himself in a forest, but the forest seemed more familiar than he had expected. What do you think happened next in the story? I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to come back tomorrow for the continuation. That's all for tonight. See you tomorrow night. Sweet dreams.